he's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, which is complete nonsense. But I think he loved the adulation. He loved it when he was being praised, especially when he was a soldier.
Tom, do you think Harry and Meghan are fast learning what they signed away when they took this Netflix big moolah? And I would say they signed away their credibility and their dignity.
Well, that's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
The whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know.
But then he became criticised, firstly because he became drunk in public.
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
If she hasn't had the children herself, or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. They have to have royal blood, those little ones. Without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the...
I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want to...
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
Absolutely. What we're really now seeing is that both of them, having posed as the victim for so long, are really the aggressors.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle once believed they could shield their children from the spotlight. But now, the very thing they tried to protect might be shaking everything apart.
You hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now with this decision?
Well, for a start, the only time that I've come back to the UK is sadly for funerals or court cases.
Explosive claims from Tom Bower about Archie and Lilibet have sent shockwaves through royal watchers everywhere. Questions about bloodlines and legitimacy are spreading fast, and the fallout feels bigger by the day. From palace silence to loud public calls for DNA tests, the tension is rising fast.
In this case, about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bum, the fact is Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince.
This is no quiet rumor floating around online. It's turning into a full-blown royal controversy that people cannot stop talking about. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are back under the microscope, and this time it's not about royal duties or streaming deals, it's about their children. Tom Bower has dropped what many are calling his most serious allegation yet, raising questions about whether Archie and Lilibet are biologically theirs. Supporters of these claims argue this isn't random internet chatter.
Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is marking her daughter Lilibet's 4th birthday by sharing some personal photographs. A rare sighting of a little girl seen in this picture with her father, Prince Harry, and now her mom. The child's face is partially covered as the royal couple is known to fiercely guard the privacy of their 2 children. On Instagram, Meghan wrote, "Happy birthday to our beautiful girl. 4 years ago today, she came into our lives, and the day is brighter and better."
They point to what they describe as years of strange patterns, timeline gaps, and details that never fully lined up. Now, the couple who said they would protect their children at all costs are facing a storm where those same children are at the center of intense public debate. And the question being asked is blunt. Who are Archie and Lilibet, really?
It was a dreadful thing to do, and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
For most families, even asking that would feel outrageous. But when it comes to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, critics say every move feels managed, polished, and carefully branded. That perception makes every rumor hit harder. Tom Bower suggests that if surrogacy was involved, it may not have been presented clearly to the public. He frames it not just as a private medical matter, but as something that raises bigger questions in a royal context.
That has always been her motive. She's money obsessed and always has been. And that is why she married Prince Harry. A great surprise and disappointment was to discover that Prince Harry had very little money. She imagined he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. And she's having to make up for it now.
And in the monarchy, lineage is not just personal. It carries constitutional weight.
Can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. and the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course.
If doubts about legitimacy ever gained serious traction, it would create massive institutional pressure. Prince Harry, once seen as the cheeky royal rebel, is now facing relentless scrutiny. Online commentary has turned sharp.
The conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking about marriage, but long before their engagement is even announced, let alone they're married and she's pregnant. And he's sitting in Clarence's house with then Prince Charles and Camilla. And Camilla just laughingly says, well, any child you'll have will probably have brown skin. And
some portray him as unaware, others as fully involved. Reports from Montecito describe a tense environment, with Harry reportedly stressed, watching headlines roll in and reacting to non-stop speculation. There's an uncomfortable contrast here. The same man who has spoken openly about mental health now appears visibly strained under global attention. It's intense, and the pressure is obvious.
Queen and the Duke.
Yes, and we just bumped into the Duke as we were walking by, which was so nice. So it'll be a nice moment to introduce the baby to more family, and my mom's with us as well. So it's been a really, here we go.
another great.
Meanwhile, Meghan Markle is said to be handling things in a different way. Reports describe a calm but firm approach. Legal teams ready, statements measured, silence maintained, no emotional public outbursts, just strategy. But here's where it gets complicated. The stronger the legal pushback appears, the more online conversations seem to grow. Instead of fading away, the speculation expands. More questions surface, more theories circulate, and the spotlight only burns brighter. When you line everything up, critics say it suddenly starts to look different.
that's why I think, I think Tina is a great journalist, and perhaps she has inside information. I don't see how the Sussexes can give up both the Netflix and the book deal. They won't be living in a Montecito cottage. Be more likely living somewhere in downtown LA in a little hovel. That's their problem. They're stuck now. But, you know, the truth is about
the carefully staged pregnancy photos, the timelines that never fully matched, the absence of hospital images, the non-traditional birth announcements, the way their family story was presented, smooth, polished, almost too perfect. And when something feels overly managed, people naturally start asking questions. Observers argue that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had years to clear up confusion. Instead, they chose privacy and tight control. Now that same secrecy is being viewed through a harsher lens. What was once framed as protection is now being interpreted by critics as avoidance, and that shift in perception is fueling even louder debate. Whether you believe Tom Bower or not, one thing stands out: the silence. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have not publicly addressed these specific claims, and instead of calming speculation, that quiet approach is being read by some as tension. In high-profile situations, silence can speak just as loudly as a statement. Then there's another detail people keep pointing to: the noticeable distance between Archie and Lilibet and senior members of the royal family.
he wore a Nazi uniform at a party, then he was wearing absolutely nothing in the nude at the party in Las Vegas, and he couldn't cope with the criticism because in his view he is a target. And it didn't help that his telephones were hacked by News International, Rupert Murdoch's group here.
Compare that to the public appearances involving the children of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Their kids have often been photographed at official events alongside King Charles III, Queen Camilla, and previously Queen Elizabeth II. With Archie and Lilibet, public appearances with senior royals have been rare. That absence has fueled speculation online. Some say it's simply geography and strained family relations.
She never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home. We know that they deceived the public about the birth data and time of the whole event. So, and also, you know, even it goes down to the lawyer saying that in that statement, when they have that long attack on the Mail, which is astonishing, that Meghan, we know she lied in her statement.
Others wonder if the distance signals something deeper. Either way, the lack of visible connection keeps conversations alive. Now, here's where it gets serious. If surrogacy was involved and handled privately, many families would view that as a personal medical decision. That alone would not be scandalous. But critics argue that if biological details were ever misrepresented, the implications would be much bigger in a royal context. The line of succession is tied directly to bloodline, and that's not just family gossip. That's constitutional territory.
People who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. I wrote 4 years ago a book about Prince Charles, and it was a story about how he had rehabilitated himself after Diana's death, and how Camilla also had to be rehabilitated, and it was a #1. It was a fascinating story. So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, you know, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter. You can't beat the real story. I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real.
The monarchy survives on continuity and clarity. If public trust in lineage were ever shaken, it would create enormous institutional pressure. This isn't about social media drama anymore. It's about the structure of the crown itself. And then there's Tom Bower. Supporters say he isn't just chasing headlines. He has written extensively about royal affairs and previously published claims that later gained credibility. That history is why his latest allegations are being taken seriously in some circles. When someone with that track record speaks, people listen. He has sparked what could become one of the most uncomfortable debates surrounding the Sussex chapter. If the speculation continues to grow, it could affect how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are remembered within royal history. Reputation, legacy, and credibility are all on the table.
Something like that. So she wasn't even pregnant. So it's very weird. And Harry, it was said to Harry, not to her. I mean, she just came in.
But what amplifies everything is the ongoing silence. No formal rebuttal, no direct clarification, no public effort to shut the rumors down with evidence. Just a firm wall of privacy. Online, the response has escalated. Calls for DNA testing have grown louder. What started as niche forum discussions has expanded into trending topics, debate panels, and detailed timeline breakdowns across social platforms. Every photo is examined, every statement reanalyzed.
That's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
From a public relations perspective, critics say this is a delicate moment. The Sussex brand was built around independence, transparency, and a modern family narrative. Montecito Sunshine, streaming documentaries, carefully delivered speeches about love and healing. But now, that polished image is facing its most intense scrutiny yet, and authenticity. That was the core of their brand. But now critics say that picture isn't just scratched, it's cracking. Wide open. These aren't tiny PR slip-ups. These are deep fractures that no polished interview or staged photo can smooth over. And for Prince Harry, this cuts deeper than any headline before.
Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say Royal Author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both tops.
This isn't just gossip, it's personal. Fatherhood has been his redemption arc, his anchor, his shield.
Is using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family and friends.
Ever since stepping away from royal life, he has framed everything around being a devoted dad. From the Oprah interview to the streaming docuseries, he repeated the same message. Being a father saved him, grounded him, gave him purpose.
Well, that was brilliant of you to bring that clip up because the body language just showed her discomfort as she dug deeper into her own hole. I mean, the truth is this, that there are two truths. The first truth is that the conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking.
Now, critics are striking at the heart of that narrative. They're asking a brutal question. What if the children he built his new identity around aren't biologically his? That doesn't just challenge a storyline, it challenges his entire sense of self. It's a heavy blow, not just to public image, but to personal identity.
Mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I think she would be I think she'd be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship. I have felt the presence of my mum more so in the last 2 years than I have in the last.
This is the same man who walked behind Diana, Princess of Wales's coffin, frozen in history as a symbol of grief and resilience. Today, online narratives frame him in two harsh ways. Either he's portrayed as unaware and led by Meghan's strategy, or as an active participant in what critics label a royal-scale cover-up. Neither image helps him. One paints weakness, the other paints calculation. Both leave him looking cornered. Commentary from Montecito paints a tense picture. Reports describe a heavy atmosphere inside the mansion. Harry is said to be deeply focused on media coverage, scrolling through articles, commentary videos.
Time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
You're obviously very deeply affected by this. What memories, experiences had you hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now?
An endless analysis dissecting every photo, every timeline, every public statement about his children. Sources claim the pressure is visible. Restless nights, frustration behind closed doors, the weight of constant scrutiny, whether exaggerated or not, the perception of stress is clear. And here's the irony critics keep pointing out. Harry positioned himself as a champion for mental health, openly discussing therapy and emotional healing. Now, some observers argue he appears overwhelmed by the very storm he once said he had tools to manage. That contrast is fueling even more debate. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle is described as taking a very different approach. Strategic, controlled, legal teams on alert, cease and desist letters reportedly drafted, media threats carefully considered, no public emotional response, just tight management. But here's the catch critics highlight. Every legal step seems to intensify online chatter. The stronger the effort to shut down rumors, the louder the speculation becomes. People start asking, if there's nothing to clarify, why not address it directly? That question keeps echoing. Then there's the palace silence. No public comments from King Charles III, no visible bonding moments between Archie, Lilibet, and senior royals.
The security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned. And then overnight, I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board.
No routine birthday posts or warm family snapshots that traditionally accompany royal milestones. In contrast, the children of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are frequently seen in official settings, embraced as visible heirs to continuity. That difference has not gone unnoticed. Some argue it's simply the result of distance and strained relationships. Others believe the monarchy may be deliberately keeping space. And a new theory gaining traction suggests that distance could be protective rather than punitive. On the Biminigis, a way to shield the institution from potential fallout. If that theory were ever proven true, the implications would be massive. Because if questions about legitimacy ever entered official royal consideration, this would move beyond speculation into constitutional territory. That's not tabloid noise, that's institutional risk. This story has evolved. It's no longer confined to fringe forums. Mainstream commentators, journalists, and longtime royal followers are openly discussing the possibility of a DNA test. The mere fact that such a question is circulating at this level shows how far the narrative has shifted.
Discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards, when her marriage had crashed and she couldn't find anyone in Canada at the time. And she wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted.
Each day without direct clarification adds pressure. Transparency could quiet the noise. Continued silence allows it to expand. And for Harry, that may be the most damaging part of all. Watching the identity he rebuilt under global attention now face its most intense challenge yet. Meghan and Harry had multiple opportunities to address this early. They could have clarified timelines, explained photo gaps, or offered documentation to quiet speculation. Instead, critics say they leaned into silence. And in today's media climate, silence doesn't always read as strength. To many observers, it now reads as avoidance. What once looked like dignity now gets interpreted by some as defensiveness. And in the court of public opinion, perception is everything. The harsh reality is that reputational damage can become permanent. Prince Harry, once praised as the bold and rebellious royal, is now being described in headlines as strained and under pressure. Even some former military acquaintances are said to have taken a step back from the spotlight around him.
About marriage, but long before their engagement is even announced, let alone they're married and she's pregnant. And he's sitting in Clarence's house with then Prince Charles and Camilla. And Camilla just laughingly says, well, any child you'll have will probably have brown skin and ginger hair. And they all laugh, including Harry. I mean, not because of racism, it's just one of those things everybody imagines. When somebody is pregnant close to you, you wonder what the child will look like. But it was not said as anything other than
like a concern. That's what Meghan claimed, that it was a concern about how dark the baby was.
Sources quoted in commentary pieces describe mood swings, frustration, and isolation. Whether exaggerated or not, the narrative forming around him is intense. And the most painful layer is this: fatherhood was his emotional reset, his second act. If that pillar gets questioned publicly, critics argue it shakes the foundation of the identity he rebuilt after stepping away from royal duties. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle is portrayed very differently in reports: composed, strategic, focused. Legal representatives reportedly active, warning outlets against repeating unverified claims. But here's the tension critics highlight. Nepresentence, legal pressure may limit headlines, yet it doesn't erase suspicion in the public mind. People remember the polished documentary series, the curated social media presence, the speeches about transparency, healing, and generational change. So when critics compare that messaging with the current refusal to directly address biological speculation, they frame it as contradiction. To them, it feels like brand management instead of openness.
Either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
Throughout this storm, the royal institution has remained quiet. No senior member publicly stepping in to defend Prince Harry or Meghan. No visible gestures of solidarity. That absence has sparked its own wave of interpretation. Some insiders suggest that King Charles III has been advised to maintain distance. The reasoning, according to speculation, is simple. If rumors ever proved false, support would look premature. If rumors gained traction, support could backfire. Either way, caution rules the day. Behind closed doors, reports claim discussions about contingency planning are happening. Questions about succession, titles, and constitutional protocol are said to be quietly evaluated. If any aspect of lineage were ever legally challenged, it would raise complex issues about royal tradition and the line of succession. And that's where this story shifts from tabloid buzz to institutional risk. Because in a monarchy, bloodline isn't symbolic, it's structural. If doubt ever entered official proceedings, the ripple effects would be enormous. As it stands, no formal action has been announced, no titles revoked, no public confirmations either, just waiting, watching, assessing. What's clear is that the public narrative around the Sussex story has changed. What began as a tale of independence and modern reinvention is now tangled in suspicion. The more questions circulate without answers, the more the fairy tale framing fades. In the end, many commentators argue it may come down to a single decision: address the speculation directly with undeniable proof or continue prioritizing privacy. One path could quiet critics overnight. The other ensures that the debate lingers for years, because questions tied to lineage do not disappear easily. They resurface, they get re-examined, they become part of historical record. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle built their post-royal chapter around freedom, honesty, and control of their own narrative. Now that narrative is being challenged from every direction. So here we are, the Sussex reinvention facing its toughest test yet. Is Harry simply overwhelmed by circumstances beyond his control, or is he knowingly standing firm beside a strategy designed to outlast the storm? And the question echoing through every headline remains the same. Who are Archie and Lilibet, really? Those questions aren't fading anytime soon. They will linger unless clarity arrives. What do you think? DNA test or continued privacy? Drop your take below and like, share, and subscribe for more royal drama.